Israel has launched new bombings in Lebanon. This follows the deadly communication device explosions in the country. Here's why Israel is being accused of the attacks and what has unfolded since.
Israel has a very long history of planting booby traps in Lebanon specifically. I'm old enough to remember when, after the war in 2006, our parents always told us, if you find any toys or anything on the ground, do not pick it up, because there had been cases of Israel essentially planting bombs in toys, and especially in the south.
In the 90s, one example involved a 9-year-old girl whose right hand was shredded when a big green plastic Jeep with 6 big black wheels exploded in her hand. A United Nations interim force in Lebanon officer had confirmed to AFP that the objects were mainly dropped by Israeli helicopters. Israel denied the accusations at the time, calling the allegations despicable. However, a report by the UK Foreign Affairs Committee in 2000 warned of the dangers posed by the unexploded bombs, citing the use of booby-trapped toys. The report stated that the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon believes that the majority of the mines found were laid by Israeli forces. Nader Durgam, Middle East Eye journalist, recently covered the funerals of Hezbollah members killed in the pager blast as more communication devices continued to explode.
It caused a mass panic. It still wasn't certain. So were the explosives implemented in the devices, or did Israel somehow hack them? And I think it's that uncertainty that led to people think that maybe will my laptop blow up? Will my phone blow up? Will my power bank? Will my solar panel?
Many in Lebanon have used power banks since October 2021, when the 2 largest power plants shut down due to fuel shortages. Some can afford private generators, while others rely on the electricity schedule.
So basically, there is no safety. At any point in time, through the click of a button, something could blow up. Specifically, one reaction that really caught my eye was the woman who approached me while I was escaping and telling me, "Young man, could you please help me switch off my phone?" Explaining to me that she's afraid it would detonate. I was a bit confused at first, because in my mind, it was kind of, you're escaping the scene of an explosion. Are you sure you don't want your phone to be on in case you want to contact your family or anything? But she was determined. She really was very scared that her phone might blow up, because some people thought that Israel was now targeting phones.
Many pagers exploded in homes and in supermarkets, including a case where a 9-year-old girl died holding her father's pager. How has Lebanon coped with years of economic crisis, political instability, and the devastating 2020 port explosion?
I would say before the pager's explosion, the people were kind of forced to do their day-to-day lives, because that's true. The war was happening in the south, for example, and there's trauma from the crisis, the port explosion and everything. But faced with the fact that nothing's going to change and things are just going to keep being bad, people just kind of had to live their day-to-day life. And one of the mental health professionals I spoke to told me that what people are going through is avoidance, kind of trying to avoid thinking about it by just going on with their lives, because if they keep thinking about it and nothing's going to change, they're just going to spiral.
Hezbollah emerged primarily in response to Israel's invasion of the country in 1982 and continues to be funded by Iran. During Lebanon's civil war and other wars, Hezbollah fought against the Israeli invasion and its occupation of southern Lebanon. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah said this about the targeting of communication devices.
العدو تجاوز في هذه العملية كل الضوابط والقوانين والخطوط الحمراء. لم يكترث لأي شيء على الإطلاق، لا أخلاقيا ولا إنسانيا ولا قانونيا.
Maybe at least to his supporters, the message that they remain steadfast, that they will not separate their front from the Gaza front, because it's believed one of Israel's objectives would be for Hezbollah to sign a separate ceasefire and separate it from Gaza, basically. So Nasrallah reiterating that they will remain linked to Gaza, and the Lebanese front will not stop until there's a ceasefire in Gaza.
While Lebanon's chronic trauma has been amplified, Hezbollah said it launched an internal probe into the blast involving communication devices. Meanwhile, this is how some Israelis reacted to the attack on social media. And this is how some Western outlets responded. The Volkskrant, a Dutch newspaper known as the People's Paper, used the term spectacular in an analysis to describe the pager blast that killed children. And this is the New York Post cover on the 18th of September. The largest exchange of fire between Hezbollah and Israel since the 8th of October followed after the electronic communication device blasts. Hezbollah's deputy chief Naim Qasim said,
لن توقفنا التهديدات ولا نخشى أخطر الاحتمالات ونحن مستعدون لمواجهة كل الاحتمالات العسكرية.
And on Monday, the Israeli military sent SMS messages to civilians in southern Lebanon.
Hezbollah and Israel are exchanging heavy cross-border fire a day after the most intense Israeli bombardment in decades.
كل هالإصابات 90% منها أطفال، جروح، حروق، كسورة open fractures، شيء مخيف. وهذا إذا بدل على هي الهمجية الموجودة.